text from my daughter, Danielle. Mom, I know you paid $280,000 for this house, but my mother-in-law doesn't want you at Christmas dinner. I hope you understand. I read those words once, twice, 3 times. Each time they cut deeper, like a knife twisting in a wound I didn't even know I had. $280,000. That wasn't just money. That was 32 years of my life. 32 years of waking up at 6 in the morning, taking 2 buses to work, saying no to myself so I could say yes to her. And now I wasn't even welcome at Christmas dinner in the house I bought. If you've ever felt invisible in your own family, if you've ever given everything only to be treated like nothing, then you need to hear what happened next, because what I did changed everything, and I mean everything. Don't go anywhere, because by the end of this story, you'll understand why sometimes the most loving thing a mother can do is stop being a doormat. My name is Emily Carter. I'm 60 years old now, but back then I was 58, recently widowed, and foolish enough to believe that sacrifice equals love. I was wrong, so very wrong. Let me take you back 4 years to when this nightmare began. When Danielle first introduced me to Michael, I saw what every mother wants to see: a good man, polite, hardworking, an engineer who talked about the future with confidence. They got engaged 6 months later, and I was overjoyed. My baby girl had found love. Mom, I want you to meet Michael's family next Sunday, she said, squeezing my hand with that excited sparkle in her eyes. I prepared for days. I slow cooked a brisket until it fell apart at the touch of a fork. I made roasted potatoes with rosemary, fresh green beans, and my mother's famous apple pie, the one with the lattice crust that took me 3 hours to perfect. I set the table with my good china, the embroidered tablecloth I only used for special occasions. I wanted everything to be perfect. They arrived right on time. Michael, his father David, and her, Linda. The moment she walked through my door, I felt it, that chill. Linda was tall, impeccably dressed, with perfectly styled hair and a pearl necklace that probably cost more than my monthly rent. She shook my hand with the tips of her fingers like she was afraid my ordinariness might be contagious. "What a pleasure, Mrs. Carter," she said, her smile never reaching her eyes. "What a cozy home, cozy." That word haunted me for years. She didn't say lovely, she didn't say warm or inviting. She said cozy, which is what people with money say when they mean small and insignificant. During dinner, Linda barely touched her food. "Oh, I have such a delicate stomach," she said, pressing her manicured hand to her chest. "I just can't handle heavy foods," as if my cooking was some peasant meal beneath her refined palate. Michael ate with enthusiasm. David complimented my pie, but Linda, she sat there evaluating everything. The furniture, the decorations, me, making mental notes of all the ways I didn't measure up. When they left, Danielle hugged me at the door. "Aren't they wonderful, Mom?" I smiled, I nodded, but something inside me already knew. I had just met the woman who would eventually push me out of my own daughter's life. The wedding was beautiful. I paid for Danielle's dress. $5,000 I took from my retirement savings without a second thought. Linda organized the reception at an elegant ballroom. Everything was magazine perfect. White roses, golden lights, a dessert table that looked like art. But when Michael gave his toast, thanking his parents for the unforgettable party, he never mentioned me, not once. I had paid for my daughter's wedding dress, the thing she'd wear in every photo for the rest of her life, and I was invisible. Danielle caught my eye from the head table. I smiled and raised my glass. "It's okay, honey," I mouthed silently, but it wasn't okay, and deep down I knew it would only get worse. 1 year later, Danielle and Michael invited me to dinner at their rented apartment. They held hands across the table, and I knew before they even spoke. "Mom, we want to buy a house," Danielle said. "But we can't cover the full down payment." Those eyes, the same eyes that looked up at me when she was 5 years old asking for ice cream, the same eyes that cried on my shoulder after her first heartbreak. How could I say no? "How much do you need?" I asked. $280,000. My heart stopped. That was almost everything I had: 32 years of savings, my security, my retirement, my freedom. But when I looked at my daughter's hopeful face, I heard myself say, okay. The house was perfect. 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, a backyard with a lemon tree, and big windows that let in the morning sun. When we toured it, Danielle walked through each room like a child in a candy store. She stopped at the smallest bedroom by the window. "This one will be for you, Mom." My heart swelled. "For me? Of course, you're helping us with the house. You should have your own space when you visit." Michael nodded from the hallway. "Absolutely, Emily. This house is yours too." I believed them. God help me, I believed them. We closed on the house in late March. My lawyer, a wise man named Mr. Romero, who'd handled my finances for years, gave me advice I should have listened to more carefully. "Emily, if you're putting up that kind of money, protect yourself," he said. "Keep the property in your name for at least 2 years. You can transfer it later, but for now, protect yourself." "What kind of mother distrusts her own daughter?" I asked. He looked at me with those knowing eyes. "A smart one, so I did it. I kept the house in my name. Legally, I was the sole owner. Danielle and Michael were listed as residents, nothing more. When I told Danielle, she didn't object. "That's perfect, Mom. It's your money after all." But that night, I overheard Michael on the phone with his mother. I was in the kitchen making coffee when his voice drifted in from the living room. "Yes, Mom, Emily is providing the money." "No, the house will be in her name temporarily." "Yes, I know, but we can't say anything. Without her money, there's no house." A chill ran down my spine. Even then, even at the very beginning, Linda was poisoning the well. Over the next few months, I furnished that house. I bought the refrigerator, the washing machine, paid for half the living room furniture. I found a beautiful wooden dining table at an antique shop big enough for 8 people. For big family dinners, I told Danielle as the movers carried it in. She hugged me so tight. "You're the best mom in the world, best mom in the world." Those words would haunt me later. The first time I went to stay in my room, I arrived on a Friday afternoon with a small suitcase and a homemade cheesecake. When Danielle opened the door, her face changed. "Mom, you didn't tell me you were coming." "Yes, honey, I texted you yesterday." "Oh, I must not have seen it. It's just Michael invited his parents for dinner." And there she was, Linda, sitting in my living room in the house I paid for, sipping tea from a porcelain cup like she owned the place. "Emily, what a surprise," she said. She didn't even stand up. "Mom, you're staying in your room, right?" Danielle asked nervously. "Because Linda is already settled in the guest room." The guest room. My room had become the guest room, and Linda was in it. "Of course, honey, no problem," I said, my smile already starting to crack. When I opened the door to my room, I found it full of boxes. Michael's old clothes hanging in the closet, an exercise bike in the corner. My room had become a storage closet. I sat on the edge of the bed and took a deep breath. "Don't cry, Emily, don't cry." At dinner that night, I brought out my cheesecake. Linda wrinkled her nose. "Oh, what a shame, Emily. I brought a French lemon tart from a boutique bakery. We've already put it in the fridge." My cheesecake sat on the counter, unwanted, just like me. Linda dominated the conversation all evening. Her social club, her trips, her expensive tastes. And then she pointed to my curtains. "Danielle, darling, these curtains are just too simple. I know a divine shop that sells imported ones from Spain. I'll get them for you for Christmas." "This house has so much potential," Linda continued. "It just needs a few touches of good taste." Good taste. As if everything I had contributed lacked it, I excused myself with a headache and went to my storage room bedroom. I lay on the bed staring at the ceiling, and something inside me began to crack, something that would eventually shatter completely. If you're listening to this and thinking, "Emily, why didn't you say something?" keep listening. Because I'm about to tell you exactly why I stayed silent, and why that silence almost destroyed me. The months that followed were death by 1,000 paper cuts, small wounds, each one barely noticeable, but together they were bleeding me dry. Danielle stopped calling every day, then every other day, then only when she needed something. When I called her, she was always busy. "Mom, I can't talk right now. I'm at the supermarket with Linda." "Mom, I'll call you later. We're going to dinner with Michael's parents." "Mom, not now. We're at Linda's house looking at fabric swatches." Linda, 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 always Linda. One Saturday, I finally asked, "Honey, what happened to our Sunday coffee dates?" Silence on the other end of the line. "Oh, Mom, it's just that on Sundays, Michael and I have breakfast with his parents. You know, it's a family tradition. What if I came with you? I asked, my voice small. Another pause, longer this time. It's just, Linda is very particular about that, Mom. You know, it's her special time with Michael. Her time with Michael. My son-in-law now belonged to his mother more than to his wife. And I was the outsider. It's okay, honey, I lied. Don't worry about it. I decided to try harder. Maybe I was the problem. Maybe I needed to be more present, more helpful, more something. So I started cooking for them. Every Tuesday after work, I'd make something special: chicken casserole, meatballs in sauce, tortilla soup, beef stew. Things Danielle had loved since childhood. At first, she seemed happy. Oh, Mom, thank you. It smells delicious. But gradually, her enthusiasm faded. One afternoon, when I arrived with a chili that had taken me 3 hours to make, Danielle opened the door looking exhausted. Mom, I already told you, you don't need to cook so much. I like doing it, honey. This way you don't have to worry about dinner. It's just, Linda brings us food too. And the fridge is already full. I stood there holding my container, feeling like an intruder in my daughter's life. When I opened their refrigerator to make space, I saw them. Linda's elegant glass containers with printed labels. Linda's risotto, Linda's Mediterranean salad, Linda's berry dessert. My chili in its faded plastic container looked pathetic next to all that perfection. The chili is delicious, Mom, Danielle said behind me. Really? But her voice said otherwise. In October, Danielle turned 28. I had planned everything weeks in advance. Dinner at her favorite restaurant, the same place we'd celebrated for the last 5 years. I invited her college friends, my sister Teresa, and Michael. When Danielle got my invitation, she called that same night. Mom, the invitation is beautiful, but there's a problem. My stomach dropped. I knew that tone. Linda already organized a surprise dinner for me at her house. On the same day, but Danielle, I sent you the invitation a week ago. We've been talking about this for a month. I know, Mom, I know, but everything is already set. She invited Michael's whole family. She hired a caterer. She ordered a special cake. I can't tell her no, but you can tell me no. The words escaped before I could stop them. Long silence. Mom, it's not like that. Then how is it, Danielle? You can cancel the restaurant. Linda already paid for everything. Something broke in my chest at that moment, something that would never heal the same way. You know what, honey? You're right. Go to your mother-in-law's dinner. I'll cancel everything. Mom, don't be angry. I hung up before she could finish. I canceled the reservation, lost the $100 deposit, sent apologetic messages to everyone I'd invited. That night, I sat alone at my dining table and took out the gift I'd bought: a silver bracelet with a heart-shaped charm engraved with mother and daughter always. I put it back in the box and hid it in my dresser drawer with all the other things that had lost their meaning. On Danielle's birthday, she sent me a photo from Linda's party: a long table with gold and white balloons, a three-tiered cake with sugar, flowers, Michael hugging Danielle, and Linda posing next to them with a triumphant smile. Missed you, Mom, but it was beautiful. Thanks for understanding. I replied, Happy birthday, honey. God bless you always. I didn't mention the canceled dinner. I didn't mention the lost deposit. I didn't mention my broken heart. Because that's what mothers do, right? We swallow the pain, paste on a smile, and say everything is fine even when we're dying inside. Are you still with me? Good, because now we're getting to the part where everything changed. The part where this doormat finally stood up. November arrived cold and gray, matching my mood perfectly. When Danielle called on a Wednesday night, I knew before she even spoke. Mom, do you have plans for Christmas? Christmas. Our tradition, ever since Danielle was 3 years old, we spent Christmas Eve together, baking cookies, decorating, making our special eggnog, staying up late wrapping presents. Well, I thought we'd spend it together like always, I said carefully. It's just, this year is going to be different, Mom. Different, that cursed word again. Linda wants to host Christmas dinner at our house. She says she's getting older and the stairs at her house are too much for her, so we thought it would be nice to have it here. At our house, the house I paid for. I see, and am I invited? Of course. Your family? I breathed a sigh of relief. Okay, honey, I'll bring the sweet potato casserole and eggnog like always. Mom, Linda already has the whole menu planned. She's bringing everything. My hands started shaking. But I always make the casserole for Christmas, Danielle. I know, Mom, but you know how Linda is. She likes everything to be a certain way. Her way, always her way. What if I just bring the eggnog? I tried one more time. Mom, really don't worry about it. Just come and enjoy yourself. You don't have to bring anything. You don't have to bring anything. Translation, we don't want anything from you, but I still didn't know the worst part, not yet. On December 10th, I went to the mall to buy Danielle's Christmas gift. I found a beautiful set of silver earrings and a necklace with blue stones, her favorite color. It's for my daughter, I told the saleswoman. She's going to love it, she replied. I paid $230. Money was getting tighter now, but I didn't care. I still thought my love could be measured in gifts. That afternoon, while having coffee in the food court, my phone rang. My sister Teresa, Emily, I need to tell you something, and I don't know if I should, but I think you have a right to know. My heart started racing. What is it? Last night I was at the grocery store and I saw Danielle with Linda in the Christmas decoration aisle. I was about to say hello, but then I heard what they were saying. Teresa paused. What did you hear? Linda was telling Danielle that your presence at Christmas dinner made her uncomfortable. She said, Danielle, darling, I understand she's your mother, but I just don't feel comfortable with her at family gatherings. She's just, how do I put this? Very simple. She doesn't fit in with our crowd. Simple. That word cut through me like a blade. And what did Danielle say? I asked, though I wasn't sure I wanted to know. Teresa sighed. Danielle didn't defend you, Emily. She just stayed quiet. And then she said, I know Linda, but I can't just tell her not to come. She's my mom. But I can't just tell her not to come, as if I were an obligation, a burden. Are you there, Emily? Yes. Thank you for telling me, Teresa. I hung up and sat there in that busy food court, surrounded by happy holiday shoppers, and for the first time in months I felt something different than sadness. I felt rage. That night I couldn't sleep. I replayed every conversation, every dismissal, every time I'd been pushed aside. At 2 in the morning, I got up and turned on my computer. I opened the house documents, the deed, the purchase agreement, the wire transfer receipts. Everything was in my name. I was the sole legal owner. Danielle and Michael were residents, nothing more. My lawyer had included a clause requiring them to include me in the family use of the property. I hadn't paid attention to it before. But now it made perfect sense. I printed everything and put it in a folder. I didn't know why yet, I just knew I needed it close. The next few days, when Danielle called, I heard things differently. Every awkward pause. Every quick I have to go. Every way she changed the subject when I mentioned Christmas. On December 14th, I decided to visit unannounced. I needed to look my daughter in the eyes. Michael answered the door in sweatpants, surprised to see me. Emily, good morning. We weren't expecting you. I came to see Danielle. I walked into the house, my house, and noticed everything was different. New curtains. The elegant beige ones Linda had promised. New cushions on the sofa I'd helped pay for. And on the mantel, a large family photo. Michael, Danielle, David, and Linda, all smiling in front of Linda's Christmas tree. I looked for my photo, the one of Danielle and me at her graduation. It was gone. Mom, Danielle came down the stairs in her pajamas looking guilty. Did something happen? I came to see you. Can I visit my daughter? Of course you can. It's just, you should have let me know. Why, Danielle? So you could tell me you were busy. We sat in the living room like strangers. Mom, are you okay? You seem angry. I took a deep breath. Danielle, did Linda tell you she doesn't want me at Christmas dinner? Her face went pale. Who told you that? Just answer the question. Is it true? She bit her lip, looked toward the stairs where Michael had disappeared. Mom, it's complicated. No, Danielle, it's a simple question, yes or no. She has her ideas, Mom. You know how she is, so it's true. Mom, please don't do this to me. Do what? Ask if I still have a place in your life. Of course you have a place. Then why are you excluding me from your Christmas? Danielle stood up, frustrated. Mom, you just don't understand. Linda is important to Michael, and I can't be on bad terms with her. She's very sensitive. If I do something she doesn't like, she gets upset and stops talking to us for weeks. And me. Do I not matter? You're my mom's. You're always going to be there. Those words, you're always going to be there, broke something in me permanently. Even when you erase me from your photos, even when you reject my food. Even when you cancel our traditions. Don't be dramatic, Mom. Dramatic. You're making a problem out of nothing, she continued. Danielle, that woman doesn't want me at Christmas dinner in the house I paid for. Oh, Mom, stop. It's always the same thing. You always bring up the money because it's the truth. Well, if it bothers you so much, then take your damn money back. The silence that followed was deafening. Danielle covered her mouth, realizing what she'd said. Mom, I'm sorry, I didn't mean. I stood up slowly, grabbed my purse. No, Danielle, you're right. Mom, don't. Listen to me. I'm just stressed. It's okay, honey. I understand everything now. I walked to the door. Mom, wait. I didn't stop. I got in my car and drove home, my hands shaking on the steering wheel. When I got to my apartment, I sat at my dining table and took out my phone. I found my lawyer's contact. Mr. Romero, I need urgent advice regarding the property in my name. Can you see me tomorrow? His reply came within minutes. Of course, Emily, tomorrow at 10. Is everything all right? No, nothing was all right. But it was about to be. Have you ever reached a point where you just can't take it anymore? Where every ounce of patience is gone and you finally see the truth? That's where I was and what I did next. Well, let me tell you, nobody saw it coming. The next morning I woke at 6. I'd barely slept, but I wasn't exhausted. I was clear, painfully, sharply clear. I showered, put on my gray pantsuit, and arrived at Mr. Romero's office at 9:30. Emily, come in, tell me what's going on. I placed the folder on his desk. I need you to explain exactly what my rights are over this property. He reviewed the documents carefully. Several minutes passed in silence. Finally, he took off his glasses. Emily, you are the absolute legal owner of this property. Your daughter and son-in-law have no ownership rights. They're only listed as authorized residents. What does that mean exactly? It means you can do whatever you want with this house. You can sell it, rent it, or ask them to vacate. Just like that, you put up the money, you sign, the house is yours. I felt a chill run through me and them. They can't do anything, not unless you sign some private agreement promising them the property, which I don't see here. Just verbal agreements. I told them I'd transfer it someday when they could pay me back. Are there witnesses? Just the three of us. Then there's nothing legally binding. Emily, that house is yours to do with as you please. I sat in silence, processing his words. Can I sell it without their consent? Yes. Can I ask them to leave? Yes, since they're there without paying rent and without a contract, you can request eviction with 30 days notice. 30 days. And if I wanted to sell the house immediately, he looked at me carefully. Is the situation that serious, Emily? I didn't answer with words. My eyes said everything. He sighed. Look, legally you can, but this is your daughter. These decisions have emotional consequences beyond the legal. There are no emotions left to protect, Mr. Romero. They've made that very clear. Do you want me to prepare sales documents? I hesitated. Was I really going to do this? I thought of the family photo without me, the storage room that was supposed to be mine, the rejected meals, the canceled birthday, the take your damn money back, and Christmas, the dinner where I wasn't welcome in the house I paid for. Yes, Mr. Romero, prepare the documents. Are you sure? I have never been more sure of anything in my life, he nodded slowly. Do you want to list it with an agency or do you know an interested buyer? I want to sell it as quickly as possible. How long would it take? If we find a cash buyer, maybe 3 or 4 weeks. 3 or 4 weeks. That would be late December. Mr. Romero, what's today's date? December 15th. I did the math. Would it be possible to close the sale by December 24th? He looked shocked. That's very little time, Emily. But is it possible? If we find the right buyer and you're willing to lower the price to speed things up, maybe. How much would I have to lower it? Instead of asking $300,000, you could offer it for $270,000. That's $30,000 less, but the sale would be immediate. $30,000 less. Even so, I'd recover most of my money, and more importantly, I'd recover my dignity. Do it, Mr. Romero. Sell it for $270,000, but I need the deal closed on December 24th, not a day later. Emily, that's Christmas Eve. I know that perfectly well. We looked at each other in silence. He understood. All right. I'll do my best. I know some investors who might be interested. Perfect. And the eviction notice, prepare that too, but don't deliver it yet. When do you plan to deliver it? I smiled. A sad smile, but a smile nonetheless. The afternoon of December 24th, Mr. Romero, right before Christmas dinner, he let out a long sigh. Emily, are you absolutely sure about this? There's no turning back, Mr. Romero. I've spent months making myself smaller to fit into my daughter's life. And you know what I discovered? It doesn't matter how small I make myself, I will never be enough for them. So, what did you decide? I decided to reclaim my full size. I left that office with the folder under my arm and a strange clarity in my heart. It wasn't relief, it wasn't sadness either. It was power, the power that comes from finally choosing yourself. The next few days felt surreal. Danielle didn't call after our fight. I didn't call her either. We were both waiting for the other to give in, but I wasn't giving in, not this time. On December 18th, Mr. Romero called. Emily, I have good news. I found a buyer. My heart jumped. Already? Yes. It's an investor with a fund to buy properties in that area. He's very interested because the house is in excellent condition. He's offering 265, 5,000 less than we asked, but the deal can be closed on December 23rd. 265,000. I'd lose 15,000 from my original investment, but I'd gain my peace back. I accept. Are you sure? We could look for someone to pay the full amount. No, I accept. I want to close this immediately. Very well. The closing will be December 23rd at 10 in the morning. Does that work? Perfect. And the eviction notice? I'll have it ready to deliver on the 24th in the afternoon around 6. Thank you, Mr. Romero. I hung up and sat in my dining room. For the first time in weeks, I cried, but not from sadness, from liberation, because I was about to do something I'd never done in my life. I was going to choose myself. That night, Danielle finally sent a message. Mom, sorry about the other day. I was stressed. You're coming to Christmas dinner, right? We're expecting you at 7 on the 24th. I read it 3 times. We're expecting you, not I want you here, not please come. Just we're expecting you, like I was a service provider. I replied, of course, honey, I'll be there. But I wouldn't be, not in the way she expected. If your heart is racing right now, good, because we're at the part where everything explodes. Stay with me. On December 20th, I went to the bank and requested a cashier's check for $265,000. The teller looked at me curiously. That's a lot of money, ma'am. I know exactly what it is. On December 21st, my sister Teresa called. Emily, are you going to Danielle's Christmas dinner? Yes, really, after everything? Teresa, don't ask me questions, just trust me. You're scaring me, don't be scared. Things are just going to happen, and I need you to know I'm okay, that I'm doing the right thing. What things? You'll see. I love you, sis. I love you too, Emily, but I'm worried. Don't worry. For the first time in a long time, I know exactly what I'm doing. On December 22nd, I packed the few things I'd left at Danielle's house. Some clothes, a couple books, a photo of my late husband. I put everything in a small bag, and when I closed that bedroom door, I knew I'd never enter it again. On December 23rd, I arrived at Mr. Romero's office at 9:30. The buyer was already there. Robert Mendoza, 35, impeccable suit, leather briefcase. Mrs. Carter, a pleasure. It's a beautiful property. We shook hands. Mr. Romero placed the documents on the table. Mrs. Carter, you cede all rights to the property located at 347 Willow Creek Drive for the amount of $265,000. Do you agree? I agree. Mr. Mendoza, we accept. Please proceed to sign. I signed every page. My hand didn't tremble once. When I finished, Mr. Mendoza handed me the check. Here you go, Mrs. Carter, $265,000. I looked at that piece of paper. It represented my freedom. When do you take possession? Legally, as of this moment. But we understand the current occupants need time to vacate. When can they leave? I looked at Mr. Romero. The eviction notice gives them 30 days, correct? That's correct. So they have until January 24th. Mr. Mendoza nodded. Perfect. That gives us time to plan renovations. We're going to turn it into an executive rental. An executive rental. It wouldn't even be Danielle's in any way. It would belong to strangers. And somehow that seemed perfect. I left that office with the check in my purse and the eviction notice in a manila envelope. I deposited the check immediately, $265,000 back in my account. That afternoon, I sat in my living room and wrote a letter, not to Danielle, to myself. Dear Emily, today you sold the house you bought for your daughter. Today you reclaimed the money you gave with love. Today you chose your dignity over her comfort. And that's okay. You are not a bad mother. You are a woman who finally understood that love shouldn't be begged for, That sacrifice without reciprocity is called abuse. And that sometimes the most loving decision you can make is to walk away. Tomorrow will be hard, but it will be the first day of the rest of your life, and that life finally belongs only to you. I folded the letter and put it in my dresser drawer next to the bracelet that said mother and daughter always, because always had turned out to be a promise only I was keeping. I went to bed early. Tomorrow would be Christmas Eve. The day everything would change, the day I would stop being invisible. I woke at 5 on December 24th. I'd barely slept, but I wasn't tired. I was alert, ready, clear. I made coffee and watched the sunrise through my window. It was a beautiful day, clear blue sky, crisp winter air. Ironic, I thought, the most painful day of my life, and the weather was perfect. At 8, my phone rang. Danielle. Hi, Mom. Good morning, honey. I'm running around like crazy here. Linda arrived early with everything for dinner: turkey, ham, salads, desserts. She even hired someone to serve the food. It's going to be beautiful, someone to serve the food. In the house I paid for. That's wonderful, honey. What time are you getting here? Dinner's at 7, but you can come early if you want to help set the table. Help set the table. Not organize, not cook, just help. I'll be there at 6:30, Danielle. Perfect, Mom. See you then. Love you. I love you too, honey. I hung up. Those 3 words felt heavier than ever before, because in a few hours she would question if they were ever true. At 10, I went to Mr. Romero's office one final time. He handed me the manila envelope with the eviction notice inside. Emily, are you ready? Ready. They're going to react badly. You know that, right? I know. They're going to say terrible things. They're going to be furious. They're going to think I'm the villain. And you still want to do it, especially because of that, because I'm tired of being the villain for choosing myself while they're heroes for using me. He sighed. You are a very brave woman, Emily. I'm not brave, Mr. Romero. I'm just exhausted. I put the envelope in my purse and left. I went to church. I'm not overly religious, but in the biggest moments of my life, I've always found myself there. The sanctuary was empty except for the flickering candles and a beautiful nativity scene by the altar. I sat in the back pew and closed my eyes. Forgive me, God, I whispered. If this is wrong, forgive me. But I can't keep living like this. I didn't wait for an answer. I already had my answer in my heart. At 5 in the afternoon, I returned home. I showered slowly, deliberately. I put on my navy blue dress, the one I'd always loved. Light makeup, my silver earrings, the ones my late husband gave me on our last anniversary together. I looked in the mirror and saw someone I'd almost forgotten. Emily Carter, whole, worthy, ready. I put the manila envelope in my purse and left at 6. The drive to Willow Creek Drive took 20 minutes, 20 minutes where I reviewed my entire life, every sacrifice, every silent hurt, every time I'd swallowed my dignity. And every time it had been for her, for Danielle. But tonight was for me. I arrived at 6:25. The street was lit up with Christmas lights, every house glowing with holiday cheer. Carols drifted through the cold air. I parked in front of 347 Willow Creek Drive, the house that was no longer mine, the house that would never be Danielle's either. I took 3 deep breaths and got out of the car. I rang the doorbell. Michael opened it, wearing a red sweater with an embroidered reindeer, a wide smile, wine glass in hand. Emily, Merry Christmas, come in, come in. I stepped inside. The house smelled of roasted turkey and cinnamon. A massive Christmas tree stood in the corner, decorated with gold ornaments and white lights. The dining table was set with white linen, porcelain dishes, crystal glasses. I counted the chairs. 6, not 7, 6. Danielle, Michael, David, Linda, and 2 others I didn't know. There was no chair for me. Moms, you're here. Danielle emerged from the kitchen in an emerald green dress, looking radiant. Merry Christmas, honey, I said, hugging her. She returned it quickly, awkwardly, already pulling away. Come meet someone. She grabbed my hand and led me to the living room. There was Linda, sitting in the main armchair like a queen on her throne, wearing a wine-colored dress, pearl necklace, perfect hair. Next to her sat a young couple I'd never seen. Mom, this is Simon and Lucy, Michael's cousins from Denver. The other 2 chairs. A pleasure, I said, shaking their hands. Linda looked me up and down. Emily, how punctual. Sit down, sit down. Would you like something to drink? She didn't stand, didn't greet me properly, just waved her hand dismissively. No, thank you. I sat in a single chair away from everyone else, an outsider in the house I bought. David came in from the patio with another glass of wine. Ah, Emily, Merry Christmas, David. And there I was, sitting in the living room I furnished, surrounded by my son-in-law's family, while my daughter ran back and forth serving Linda's food. Invisible, uncomfortable, out of place. 30 minutes of meaningless conversation passed. Simon and Lucy talked about their trip. David discussed the weather. Linda told stories about her European vacations, her voice dominating every conversation. Michael laughed at all the right moments. Danielle nodded agreement with everything Linda said, and I sat there, present but absent, seen but invisible. At 7 sharp, Danielle announced, "Dinner is ready." Everyone to the dining room. We all stood. We walked to the table. Linda sat at the head like a matriarch. Michael to her right, Danielle to her left, David beside Michael, Simon and Lucy on the other side, and me. I was placed at the opposite end of the table, alone, miles away from my daughter. I sat down slowly, and in that moment something inside me finished breaking, not with sadness, with finality. Michael brought out the turkey. Danielle carried side dishes. Linda raised her glass. "Family, before we begin, I want to make a toast." Everyone raised their glasses. I raised mine too, though my hand trembled. "I want to thank God for this beautiful family we have formed. For my son Michael, who fills me with pride every day. For Danielle, who is like the daughter I always dreamed of having. For this wonderful house where we are gathered today, and for this perfect moment." She paused, looked around the table with satisfaction. "Cheers, cheers," they all shouted, clinking glasses and smiling. I set my glass down on the table without drinking, because I had just heard the only thing I needed to hear. For this wonderful house. The house she hadn't paid for, the house where I wasn't welcome. The house that in 15 minutes would no longer be theirs. I looked at Danielle. She was laughing at something Simon said, carefree, happy, oblivious. Oblivious to me. I stood from the table. "Excuse me," I said quietly. No one looked at me. No one asked if I was okay. I walked to the kitchen, took out my phone, and sent a message to Mr. Romero. "Proceed." His reply came immediately. "Understood, in 15 minutes." I put my phone away, returned to the dining room, and sat back down. They ate, they laughed, they told stories. Linda talked nonstop. Michael listened adoringly. Danielle poured more wine, and I waited. At 7:30, the doorbell rang. Michael looked up, confused. "Are we expecting someone else?" "No," Danielle said, equally puzzled. He went to answer it. I heard voices at the entrance. Low, professional. Seconds later, Michael returned. His face was pale. "Danielle, there's someone here to see you." "Who is it?" "It's a process server." The room went silent. You could have heard a pin drop. "A process server?" Linda said, indignant. "On Christmas Eve." "How disrespectful." Danielle stood slowly, confused, and walked to the entrance. I stayed seated, calm, breathing. 2 eternal minutes passed. Then I heard Danielle scream. "What?" Everyone jumped up from the table. We rushed to the entrance. Danielle stood at the door, an opened envelope in her trembling hands, her face white as snow. Michael read over her shoulder. This can't be real." "What is it?" David asked, alarmed. Danielle turned to look at me. Her eyes were full of tears, but not sad tears, angry tears. "Did you do this?" Everyone stared at me. I held her gaze steadily. "Yes, Danielle, I did this." "You sold the house?" "Yes." "How could you?" "Because it's my house, Danielle." "It always was, but we live here." Michael stepped toward me, his face red. "You lived here, you have 30 days to vacate." "Emily, this is a mistake, right?" Michael's voice cracked. "You can't do this." "You promised us." "I didn't promise you anything, Michael. I said I might transfer the house to you someday, but that day never came." Linda stepped forward, her face crimson with rage. "This is abuse and injustice. You can't just throw my son out on the street." I looked her straight in the eye, and for the first time in 4 years, I didn't back down. "Your son is not on the street, Linda. Your son has 30 days to find another place. And he has a mother who boasts so much about her resources that I'm sure you'll be able to help him." Her mouth opened, but no words came out. Danielle approached me, shaking with fury. "Mom, why are you doing this to us?" "Are you really asking me that, Danielle?" "Yes, because you made it very clear I have no place in your life, because you excluded me from your table." Because you rejected my love time and time again. Because you chose this woman, I pointed at Linda, over your own mother. That's not true, isn't it? Tell me, Danielle, where was my casserole tonight? Where was my eggnog? Where was my seat at this dinner? She was silent. Exactly. There was no room for me, but there was room for all of them. Because you don't accept Michael's family. No, Danielle, because Michael's family doesn't accept me. And you allowed it, Linda interjected, her voice shrill. You are a resentful, bitter woman. I smiled sadly. No, Linda, I'm a woman who finally learned to value herself. You ruined Christmas. My Christmas was already ruined the moment I wasn't wanted here. Danielle's face crumpled. How did you know about that? Because I wasn't the only one who overheard your conversation at the grocery store, honey. Linda turned to Danielle, furious. You discussed that in public. I didn't know anyone was listening. I walked toward my daughter. She took a step back. Danielle, I gave you everything, my money, my time, my love, and you gave me crumbs. You made me feel invisible. You made me feel like I was wrong for expecting respect. Mom, I never. Yes, you did. And it's okay. I'm not angry anymore. I'm just tired. I picked up my purse. You have until January 24th. The new owner has already paid. The papers are signed. There's no turning back. Mom, you can't just leave like this. Of course I can. I walked to the door. Danielle followed me. Mom, please, we can talk. We can fix this. I stopped, turned to look at her one last time. You know what's saddest, Danielle? I would have given anything to hear you say those words 2 months ago. But now it's too late. It's never too late, Mom. For some things it is. I opened the door. The cold December air hit my face. Merry Christmas, honey. I left that house, closed the door behind me, and heard the screaming that erupted inside, the arguments, the crying, the chaos. I got in my car, started the engine, and drove away without looking back. Because if I looked back, I might have regretted it, and I couldn't regret it. Not now, not after finally finding my voice. I drove aimlessly for an hour. The streets were empty, everyone home with their families, celebrating. Tables full of food, warmth, laughter, and me. I was alone in my car, hands shaking on the steering wheel, but I wasn't crying, not yet. Because if I started, I was afraid I'd never stop. I pulled over at a viewpoint on the edge of the city. From there, I could see the whole city lit up. Thousands of lights twinkling in the darkness, each one a home, each home a family, each family a story. I turned off the engine and sat in silence. And there, in that absolute solitude, I finally breathed, truly breathed. For the first time in months, my lungs filled completely. There was no one to please, no one to give a fake smile to. No one to make me feel small, just me and my decision. I took out my phone. 15 missed calls from Danielle, 8 messages from Michael, 3 from unknown numbers, 1 from Teresa. I opened Teresa's first. Emily, are you okay? Danielle called me crying. She told me everything. I don't know what to say, just take care of yourself. I love you, sis. I replied, I'm okay, better than ever. Don't worry about me. Then I opened Michael's messages. Emily, please, we can talk. Danielle is devastated. This is so cruel. I didn't think you were capable of this. At least give us more time. My mom is right. You are a very hard woman. Danielle won't stop crying. How can you sleep tonight knowing what you did? I read each one without feeling anything. Not guilt, not regret, just clarity. Finally, I opened Danielle's messages. Mom, answer me, please. Mom, I need to talk to you. I can't believe you did this to me. How could you ruin our Christmas? Michael is furious. Linda says you're a horrible person. You know what? She's right. You're selfish. You only think about yourself. You never cared about my happiness. It was always about the money. And then the final one, I wish Dad was alive to see what you've become. That last message hit me like a physical blow. She mentioned my husband, the man who loved me, who respected me, who valued me. And she used him as a weapon. I closed my eyes, took 3 deep breaths, and wrote my reply. Danielle, I'm going to answer you once, then I'm turning off my phone. I didn't ruin your Christmas. Your Christmas was already ruined when you decided I wasn't welcome. I am not selfish. I'm a woman who finally understood that self-love isn't selfishness. I did think about myself for the first time in a long time, and I won't apologize for it. And about your dad would be proud of me. Because he taught me that respect is the foundation of love. And you forgot that. I love you, Danielle. I will always love you, but I will no longer allow you to treat me as if I'm invisible. When you're ready to talk, really talk, without screaming, without accusations, without your mother-in-law involved, I'll be here. But not before Merry Christmas. I sent the message, turned off my phone, put it in the glove compartment. I stayed at that viewpoint until 11, watching the city lights, thinking about everything. About the years I'd invested in being a mother, the sacrifices, the times I'd swallowed my pain, the times I'd said it's okay when nothing was okay. And I realized something that filled me with strange peace. I had done the right thing, not to hurt her, but to save myself. Because if I had continued like that, 1 more year, 2 more years, 5 more years, I would have ended up as a shadow. A ghost, someone who only exists to serve. And that wasn't a life. I got back to my apartment around midnight. The streets were still quiet. I climbed the stairs slowly, opened my door, and entered my space. My small, simple 2-bedroom apartment. No luxuries, no designer touches, but mine, completely mine. I took off my shoes, changed into my most comfortable pajamas, made myself chamomile tea. I sat on my sofa, and for the first time all night, I cried. I cried for the daughter I'd lost, for the relationship that had broken, for the dreams that would never come true, for the Christmas I'd always imagined and would never have. But I also cried with relief. Because I didn't have to pretend anymore, didn't have to smile when I was hurting, didn't have to make myself small to fit in places that didn't want me. I cried until I had no tears left. And when I finished, I felt empty but also light, like a 20-pound weight had been lifted. I lay down in my bed, looked at the ceiling, and whispered into the darkness, "Merry Christmas, Emily, you did it. You survived," and for the first time in months, I fell asleep in peace. Are you still with me? Because this story isn't over, not by a long shot. What happened next? Well, it changed everything again, in ways I never expected. The next few days were strange. I didn't turn on my phone, didn't answer calls, didn't open messages. I simply existed. I read books I'd had pending for years, watched movies I'd always wanted to see, walked in the park. Had coffee at quiet cafes. I breathed without hurry, without guilt, without fear. On December 27th, Teresa came to visit. She knocked softly. I opened the door. She looked at me with worried sister eyes. "Can I come in?" "Of course." We sat in my living room. I poured coffee. "How are you?" she asked gently. "I'm okay." "Emily, you don't have to pretend with me." "I'm not pretending, Teresa. I'm really okay." She studied my face. "Danielle has called me every day. She's devastated." "I know. She says you made a terrible mistake." "It wasn't a mistake. She says you ruined her life." "I didn't ruin her life. I just took mine back." Teresa sighed deeply. "Emily, is there really no way to fix this?" "Fix it how?" "By giving them the house back, apologizing for defending myself, going back to being invisible." "That's not what I mean." "Then what?" She was quiet for a long moment. Then she asked the hardest question. "Teresa, if you were in my place, what would you have done?" She looked down at her coffee. "I don't know." "Yes, you do. Tell me the truth." She met my eyes. "Probably the same thing you did. See, but she's your daughter, Emily." "I know, and that's precisely why this hurts so much. But it's also precisely because she's my daughter that I couldn't keep letting her treat me like that. What if she never forgives you?" That question cut through me like a knife. I was quiet, gathering my thoughts. "Then I'll live with that, but at least I'll live with dignity." Teresa took my hand. "You're stronger than I thought." "I'm not strong, Teresa. I'm just tired of being weak." She stayed with me all afternoon. We talked about other things, childhood memories, our parents, summers at our grandparents' farm when life was simple. Before she left, Teresa hugged me tight. "No matter what, I'm with you." "Thank you, sis. And Emily, for what it's worth, I think you did the right thing." Those words sustained me for days. On December 30th, I received an email from Mr. Romero. "Emily, the new owners will take formal possession on January 24th. The current occupants have been notified. So far, they have not sought legal counsel to appeal, so they weren't going to fight it. Probably because they knew they had no case. The house was mine. I sold it. End of story." On December 31st, New Year's Eve, I spent it alone. I didn't go to parties, didn't accept invitations. I made myself a simple dinner, put on some Frank Sinatra, and at midnight I poured myself a glass of wine. I toasted to myself. "To you, Emily, for all you survived, for all you let go, for all you're about to build." I drank slowly, savoring every sip, not as an escape, but as a celebration. On January 2nd, I turned on my phone for the first time in 9 days, 43 messages, most from Danielle. I read all of them, watching the progression of her emotions. Mom, please let's talk. December 27, Mom, Michael says we have to look for an apartment. We can't find anything in our budget. December 28, Linda says we can stay with them temporarily, but her house is small. December 29, Mom, this is a nightmare. December 30, I packed your things from the room. They're in boxes. Do you want me to bring them or are you coming for them? December 31, Happy New Year, I guess. January 1, Mom, are you really going to let it end like this? January 2, morning, that last message made me think. Was I ending this, or had she ended it months ago without realizing it? I replied with a single message. Danielle, you can bring my things whenever you want, but if you come, come alone. Without Michael, without Linda, without anyone else. Just you and me. If you're willing to do that, we can talk. The reply came 3 hours later. Okay, I'll be there Saturday at 10. Saturday, January 4th, dawned cloudy. I made coffee, cleaned my apartment, put fresh flowers on the table. I didn't know if Danielle was coming to fight or to talk, but I was ready for either. At 10 sharp, the doorbell rang. I took a deep breath, opened the door. There was my daughter, no makeup. Dark circles under her eyes, jeans and a sweatshirt, 2 boxes in her arms. We looked at each other, and in that moment I saw something I hadn't seen in months. Vulnerability. Hi, Mom. Hi, honey. Come in. She entered slowly, set the boxes by the door. We sat in the living room. Silence stretched between us, awkward and painful. I poured 2 cups of coffee, handed her one. Thanks, she whispered. We drank in silence for several minutes. Finally, she spoke. Mom, I need to understand. What do you need to understand? Why? Why did you do it? Why like that? I looked her in the eyes. Because you made it very clear I didn't matter. That's not true. Danielle, please, you didn't come here to lie to yourself. You came to talk, so let's really talk. She looked down. I didn't realize I was hurting you. You didn't realize, or you didn't want to realize. She bit her lip. Maybe I didn't want to. Why? Her voice was barely audible. Because it was easier to please Linda than to defend you. Those words hung in the air. Finally, the truth. And now, I asked, what do you think now? She looked up, tears in her eyes. Now I think I made a terrible mistake. I felt something move in my chest, but I waited. Mom, I lost my house. Michael is furious with me. Linda blames me for everything. She says if I had handled you better, none of this would have happened. Handled me? Danielle, I am not a problem to be handled. I am your mother. I know that now. Do you really? Yes. Then tell me, if I gave you the house back right now, what would change? Would you include me in your life? Would you respect me? Or would we just go back to the same thing? She was quiet for a long time. I don't know, Mom, exactly. That's why I did what I did. Because I needed you to understand that my love is not unconditional surrender, that my patience has limits, and that I also deserve respect. She started to cry. I'm sorry, Mom. I'm so sorry. And there I saw my daughter. Not the woman who had hurt me, but the little girl who used to hug me and tell me I was her hero. I got up, sat next to her, and held her. She cried on my shoulder for a long time. I'm sorry, Mom. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I know, honey, I know. When she finally calmed down, we separated, looked at each other. Mom, is there any way to fix this? Danielle, the house is gone. I can't do anything about that. I don't mean the house. I mean us. I took a deep breath. That depends on you. What do you need from me? I need you to respect me. I need you to value me. I need you to remember that I'm a person with feelings too. And I need you to set boundaries with your mother-in-law. She was quiet. I'm not asking you to choose between her and me, I continued, but I am asking you not to allow her to disrespect me. Okay, yes, Mom. You're right about everything. And Michael, she sighed, Michael is angry, but I think he understands too. He told me something last night. He said, your mom did what she had to do and we're the ones who made her do it. Those words surprised me. He said that, yes, he's not happy, but he gets it. I nodded slowly. Danielle, I don't want to lose our relationship, but I can't keep being your mother in half measures. Either you include me in your life for real or we drift apart. I don't want to lose you, Mom. I don't want to lose you either, honey. So can we start over? I looked at her intently. We can try. But it's going to take time and it's going to require real change. I know, and if you ever make me feel invisible again, I will walk away, and this time for good. She nodded, tears streaming down her face. I understand. We hugged again, and in that hug, I felt something like hope. It wasn't total forgiveness, it wasn't forgetting, but it was a start, and sometimes a start is enough. So here we are 2 years later. 2 years since that Christmas Eve that changed everything. My relationship with Danielle is different now. It's no longer that mother daughter relationship where I gave everything and she just took. Now it's a relationship between two adult women who respect each other, who care for each other, who choose each other. We see each other every week, sometimes for lunch, sometimes just to walk in the park. We talk about everything: her job, her marriage, my projects. Because yes, I have projects now. After selling the house, I had enough money to not worry for a while, and I decided to do something I'd always wanted. I took painting classes. I'm no Georgia O'Keeffe, but every time I put brush to canvas, I feel alive. I feel whole. I feel me. I also joined a group of women my age. We meet Thursdays at a downtown cafe. We talk about our lives, our children, our pains, our victories. And there I discovered my story wasn't unique. So many women had gone through the same thing: mothers who had faded trying to please, mothers who had lost themselves along the way, mothers who had to make painful decisions to save themselves. In those conversations, I found sisterhood, understanding, a space where my pain wasn't dramatic, where my decision wasn't cruel, where my story was valid. One afternoon, one of those women told me, "Emily, you are so brave." I shook my head. "I'm not brave, I was just tired." "That's the same thing," she replied. "Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's being exhausted and still taking the step." And she was right. Michael and Danielle adapted to their new life. The small apartment became home. They decorated it with love, with simple furniture, with plants, with photographs. And though it was hard at first, Danielle now tells me it's the place she's been happiest. "Because it's ours, Mom," she said one day. "We don't owe anyone. We don't have to impress anyone. It's just Michael and me." That was something they wouldn't have learned if I had kept giving them everything. Sometimes the greatest love is letting them fall so they can learn to get up on their own. Michael and his mother finally found a balance too. After months of therapy, Linda began to change. She learned to let go. She learned to respect. She learned that love isn't shown with control, but with freedom. 6 months ago, Michael invited me to lunch, just him and me. Over barbecue, he told me something I'll never forget. "Emily, I know what happened was painful for everyone, but I need you to know something. You saved me." "How?" "You saved me from becoming my mother. When you sold that house, I was furious. I felt like everything had been taken from me, but over time I understood. I was living the life my mom wanted for me, not the life I wanted. And if you hadn't done what you did, I would have kept going like that, trapped without even realizing it." His voice broke. "Now I have a simple life, but it's my life, and that is priceless." I cried in my car on the way home that day. Not from sadness, but from gratitude, because finally everyone had learned. Linda and I never became friends. We probably never will, but we reached a truce, a cold but real respect. We see each other at birthdays, at family gatherings. We greet each other politely. She no longer sees me as a threat. I no longer see her as an enemy. We simply coexist, and that is enough. 3 months ago, Danielle gave me news that changed everything again. She showed up at my apartment on a Sunday morning with donuts and a nervous smile. "Mom, I have to tell you something." "What is it, honey?" She sat next to me, took my hands. "I'm pregnant." The world stopped. "What?" "I'm going to be a mom, and you're going to be a grandmother." The tears came before I could stop them. I hugged her so tight. "How far along?" "2 months." "I wanted to be sure before I told you." "And how do you feel?" "Scared, excited, happy, and I want you to be with me through all of it, Mom. Really be with me. I want you to be a huge part of my baby's life. I want you to be the grandmother I had, the one who took care of me, who taught me, who was always there." "Honey, you don't have to ask." "Yes, I do, because I know I hurt you, and I know we lost time, and I don't want that to happen again. I want my child to grow up knowing they have an incredible grandmother." I hugged her again, and in that embrace, I felt that everything had been worth it. The pain, the loss, the loneliness, everything, because finally we were getting a second chance. But this time with respect, with healthy boundaries, with real love. Yesterday was Christmas. 2 years after that Christmas Eve that changed everything. This time was different. Danielle and Michael invited me to their apartment. David and Linda were there too, and Teresa. The table was small, the dinner was simple. Danielle cooked turkey. I brought my sweet potato casserole, the same one that was once rejected. This time there were no leftovers, everyone ate. When Michael raised his glass to make a toast, he said, I want to thank everyone who is here, especially the women at this table. My mom, who is learning to love me without suffocating me. Danielle, my wife, my partner, my everything. Then he looked straight at me. And Emily, who taught us the hardest and most necessary lesson of our lives, who taught us that love without respect isn't love. And that sometimes the most painful decisions are the wisest ones. Thank you, Emily, for not letting us forget you, for demanding your place, for saving us from ourselves. Everyone raised their glasses, even Linda. We toasted, we drank. And there at that small table in that humble apartment, I felt more at home than ever, because finally I had what I always wanted, not a big house, not luxuries. Not appearances, just love, real love, love with respect, love that didn't make me invisible. After dinner, Danielle and I were alone in the kitchen washing dishes. Mom, can I ask you something? Of course, honey. Do you regret it? Do you regret selling the house? I was quiet for a moment, drying a plate carefully. No, Danielle, I don't regret it, but you lost so much money. I didn't lose money, honey. I invested in something better. In what? In my dignity, in my peace, and finally in us. She wiped away a tear. I'm the one who regrets it, Mom. Regret what? Making you go through all that, not knowing how to value you. Having to lose you to learn how to love you right. I hugged her. We didn't lose each other, honey. We just found each other again in a different way. Do you forgive me? I forgave you a long time ago. Now you need to forgive yourself. We held each other in that kitchen. Mother and daughter, but also woman and woman, with scars, with lessons learned, with renewed love. Today, as I finish telling you this story, as I watch the sunset from my window, I realize something profound. Life isn't fair, but it is wise. It takes from you. It breaks you, it forces you to let go, but in the end it teaches you, and if you pay attention, it transforms you. I reached my 58th birthday thinking my life was already defined, that my role was to be a mother, only a mother, and that meant giving until I disappeared. But I was wrong. Being a mother doesn't mean erasing yourself, it means teaching. And sometimes the best lesson is the example of a woman who respects herself, a woman who sets boundaries, a woman who chooses her peace over the comfort of others. And that woman I found along the way is me. Emily Carter, 60 years old now, amateur painter, grandmother to be, daughter, sister, friend, but above all a woman, a whole woman, a woman who learned that the most important love is self-love. Because when you love yourself, you teach others how to love you. And when you respect yourself, you teach others how to respect you. It wasn't easy, it wasn't fast, but it was worth it. Every tear, every sleepless night, every moment of loneliness, every painful decision. It was worth it, because today I can look in the mirror and recognize myself. Today I can walk with my head held high. Today I can say no without guilt. And today I can say yes without fear. If my story touched your heart, if you recognize something of yourself in me, I want you to know something important. You are not selfish for choosing yourself. You are not a bad mother for setting boundaries. You are not cruel for defending your dignity. You are human and you deserve respect from your children, from your family, from your partner, but above all, from yourself. Because love that doesn't include you is not love, it's sacrifice. And sacrifice without reciprocity is just abuse disguised as virtue. Don't make yourself small to fit in places that don't value you. Don't apologize for taking up space. Don't beg for love from those who should give it freely, because you are valuable, you are important, you are enough just as you are, and if someone doesn't see it, that's their problem, not yours. Sometimes you have to lose to find, you have to let go to receive, you have to break to rebuild. And even if it hurts, even if the path is dark, even if you feel like you won't survive, you will. I know because I survived. And if I could, you can too. 3 weeks ago, Danielle and Michael found out they're having a girl. They came to my apartment to tell me, both of them crying with joy. We want to name her after you, Mom, Danielle said. Emily Grace, I cried, not because of the name, though that touched me deeply, but because I realized something beautiful. My granddaughter would grow up seeing a different example than Danielle had. She would see a mother, Danielle, who learned to value her own mother. She would see boundaries, respect, healthy love. She would see that it's okay to say no, that self-love isn't selfish, that dignity matters. And maybe, just maybe, she wouldn't have to learn the hard way like I did. That's the real gift, not the house, not the money, but the lesson that will echo through generations. The lesson that says you matter, your feelings matter, your boundaries matter. Don't ever let anyone make you invisible, not even the people you love most, especially not the people you love most. Last week, I finished my first real painting, not something from class, but something from my heart. It's a woman standing at a crossroads. The path behind her is dark and winding. The path ahead is bright but uncertain, and she's taking a step forward. I titled it Choosing Myself. Danielle saw it when she visited. She stood in front of it for a long time, not saying anything. Finally, she turned to me with tears in her eyes. That's you, isn't it, Mom? Yes, and that's what you did that Christmas. Yes, she hugged me tight. I'm so sorry it took me so long to understand. You understand now, that's what matters. I'm going to be better, Mom, for you, for my daughter, for myself. I know you will, honey, because pain teaches us. And we both learned. Yesterday, Linda called me, not Danielle, not Michael, Linda herself. I stared at my phone for 3 rings before answering. Hello, Emily. Her voice was different, smaller somehow. Do you have a moment, I suppose? There was a long pause. I need to say something, and I'm not good at this, so please just let me finish. Okay, you were right about everything. I did try to push you out. I did make Danielle choose, and I did it because I was threatened by you. I was silent, shocked. You're everything I'm not, Emily. You're real, you're honest, you don't put on airs, and people love you for it. Danielle loves you for it. And I was jealous. My heart softened slightly. Linda, no, please, let me finish. What you did that Christmas, it was harsh. It hurt my son, it hurt Danielle, but it also woke us all up, including me. My therapist helped me see that I've spent my whole life controlling people because I was afraid of losing them. And in trying to hold on too tight, I pushed away the very person I love most, my son. Her voice cracked. I'm not asking you to be my friend. I know I hurt you too much for that, but I am asking. Can we be civil? Can we be family, even if it's uncomfortable? For the baby's sake, I took a deep breath. Linda, we've been civil for a while now. I know, but I wanted to apologize properly, to say out loud that I was wrong, and to thank you, thank me, for loving your daughter enough to let her fall. I never did that with Michael. I caught him every time, and I turned him into someone who couldn't stand on his own. You gave Danielle the gift of strength, and now she's going to pass that on to her daughter. I felt tears welling up. Thank you for saying that, Linda. I mean it, Emily. You're a better mother than I ever was. You're learning, that's what matters. We talked for a few more minutes, nothing deep, but it was genuine, real. When we hung up, I sat there for a long time, processing. Even Linda, proud, controlling Linda, had learned. Everyone had learned. And it all started because one woman, one exhausted, heartbroken woman, decided she mattered too. This coming spring, when little Emily Grace is born, I'll be in the delivery room, not as an afterthought, not as an obligation, but as a welcomed, valued grandmother. Danielle already asked me to be there. She wants me to be one of the first people to hold her daughter. Because you're the strongest woman I know, Mom, she said, and I want my daughter to feel that strength from day one. I will teach my granddaughter to paint. I will teach her to stand up for herself. I will teach her that love is not the same as sacrifice. And I will tell her this story one day when she's old enough to understand. I'll tell her about the Christmas her grandmother chose herself, about the house that was sold, about the daughter who learned, and about the lesson that changed everything. You can love someone with your whole heart and still have boundaries. You can be kind and still demand respect. You can give generously and still protect yourself. And sometimes the most loving thing you can do is walk away. So here I am 2 years later, sitting in my small apartment, my paintings on the walls, my coffee getting cold, my phone full of messages from people who actually want to talk to me, not because of what I can give them, but because of who I am. I think about that Emily from 2 years ago, the one who sat in the darkness at 3 in the morning reading that text message, the one who thought her world was ending, and I wish I could go back and tell her, your world isn't ending, it's beginning. But I can't go back, none of us can. All we can do is move forward, one brave step at a time, one boundary at a time, one choice at a time. until we look back and realize we've walked ourselves into a completely different life, a life where we matter. Thank you for staying with me until the end. Thank you for listening to my story. Thank you for letting me share my pain, my journey, and my healing. If this story touched your heart, I want you to do something for me. Share it. Share it with that mother who's struggling. Share it with that woman who feels invisible. Share it with that person who needs to know they're not alone, because sometimes one story is enough to change a life. Sometimes one story gives someone the courage they needed. Sometimes one story saves someone, and if my story, my pain, my choice, my rebirth can do that for even one person, then everything I went through was worth it, every tear. Every sleepless night, every moment I felt like I was the villain, all of it was worth it because I'm here now, whole, free, respected, loved, and most importantly, visible. So, to every grandmother listening to this, to every mother, to every woman who has ever felt erased by the people she loved most, you are not too much. You are not too demanding. You are not selfish. You are human. And you deserve to be seen. Don't wait for permission to matter. Don't apologize for existing. Don't shrink yourself to make others comfortable. Take up space. Set boundaries. Choose yourself, not because you don't love them, but because you also love you. And that love, that self-love, is the foundation of everything else. When you love yourself, you teach your children how to love themselves. When you respect yourself, you teach your children how to respect others. When you choose yourself, you give your children permission to choose themselves too. That's not selfish. That's generational healing. That's breaking cycles. That's love in its truest, most powerful form. My name is Emily Carter. I'm 60 years old. I sold my daughter's house, and I'd do it again, not because I wanted to hurt her, but because I needed to save myself. And in saving myself, I saved us all. Remember that. Write it on your heart. Whisper it to yourself in the dark moments. Choosing yourself is not betrayal. It's survival. It's strength. It's the beginning of everything beautiful. God bless you. And always remember, your value does not depend on how much you sacrifice. Your value exists simply because you exist. Now go, live like you believe that, because you should. You really, really should. If you want to hear more stories like mine, stories of women who found themselves again, who set boundaries, who chose dignity over comfort, subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications. Share this story with someone who needs to hear it. Leave a comment telling me, what would you have done in my place? And remember, every day is a chance to choose yourself. Don't wait for a crisis. Don't wait until you're broken. Start today. Start now, you are worth it. Until next time, this is Emily Carter, reminding you that the most important love story you'll ever have is the one with yourself. Make it a good one.